Everybody out to the August 1st Cache County Planning Commission meeting. We like to see a lot of involved residents, so thanks for coming and being involved in our meeting. We're going to start tonight with opening remarks by Jason Watterson.
I'd like to do my opening remarks tonight in the form of a prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this beautiful day, grateful for this season of the year, the harvest, and for the blessings that we have received. We're grateful for this wonderful country and the freedoms that we have here, for the Constitution and the documents that help preserve our freedoms. We ask you this night that we may have thy guidance in the decisions that we make, that we may do what is best for our community and for the residents thereof. And these blessings we ask you for in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. 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 I ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jason. Okay, has everyone had a chance to review the agenda and the minutes from last month? If so, I'd accept a motion to, there's no changes to the agenda, right, Connor? Okay.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda and the minutes from last month.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the first three items are consent items, meaning they have met all the requirements for the county to move forward. I did have a question on item 2, Connor. Looking at that plat map, it looked like some of the structures cross multiple lots. Is that an issue in a, is that one of the conditions that has to be fixed? I just wondered.
Yeah. It was redrawing the lines, right, on those?
Yeah, and looking at the new lines, I didn't. So I think it's between lot 3 and 4, which 4 is not being adjusted on this one. That was the only one. I better turn that off before we get going out. Forgetting that'll ring.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, part of this is a result of a code enforcement issue, and so they're trying to come into compliance. And this is kind of the first step in order to get those boundaries adjusted to where they're supposed to be. The previous plat was done a number of years ago, but yeah, it should be that they'll need to continue with the code enforcement case to get those structures.
Okay, so that will be part of the, it just wasn't part of this yet. Yeah. Okay, that was my only question. Okay, commissioners, you got any other questions on those items? Okay, I would accept a motion to,
I make a motion
Those
that
three.
we accept the consent items 1, 2, and 3.
I second the motion.
motion and second, any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, and we are about right on time, so do you have a presentation for us on this one, Connor, and then we'll open a public hearing?
Sorry, we just want to make sure that YouTube is recording since we got the frozen folks up on the screen now. Okay, I can get some.
Okay. So this is the White Bison rezone. So there was an update to the staff report. There was initially a concern about whether the applicant has access. It turns out they do have a 33-foot easement and a UDOT access permit. So that's just been updated to include that information. So the summary of it, it's a request to rezone 18.71 acres from the A10 zone to the RE2 zone. It's located north Maximum potential lots is 9. The parcel has gone through a split and some boundary line adjustments, but it is still a legal parcel. Rural 2 is the more restrictive zone than A10. So some uses that are no longer available include agricultural manufacturing, rural kennel, recreational facility, cemetery, crematorium, private airport, concentrated animal feed operation, livestock auction facility, agritourism, small-scale slaughter facility, winery, and topsoil extraction. To the north and west, there's a mix of residential and agricultural, and it's mainly agricultural out to the south and the east. In terms of general plans, the Wellsville general plan states that this area is farmland residential cluster, 5 acres. The areas which states this area is identified in the land use plan to remain primarily as an agricultural production area. This area has historically been the primary farming land of the community, and the city should preserve the qualities of this area by minimizing the taking of this land for residential, commercial, or industrial uses. While residential uses are somewhat compatible with agricultural uses, residential development in this area should be minimized, and large areas should be required to stay in agricultural use. In terms of the Cache County General Plan, it's located in the urban expansion overlay. It's also located in the agricultural and ranching zone. So the purpose of that zone is agricultural and range land uses on private lands that are conservation easements are expected to continue in the valley. Separation from dense residential developments is advantageous. The agricultural landscape provides separation between adjacent municipalities and protects suitable soils. The preferred uses for this zone are agriculture, ranching, rural residential uses at density of less than 1 acre. Conservation easements, conserved public lands, and agritourism. Secondary uses are industrial and commercial uses directly supportive of agriculture, so processing, packaging, distribution. Clustered subdivision developments, outdoor recreation, and farm worker housing. Discouraged uses include residential developments at densities of greater than 1 unit per 10 acres, if not in a clustered subdivision amendment. The parcel currently doesn't have any frontage along a road. It does have a turnaround, so Public Works ended up doing an analysis of SR 23, as it's the nearest closest public road. So the summary of SR 23 is it's a UDOT road. It's classified as minor arterial. Services residential and agricultural lands, but it's primarily the connection between Mendon and Wellsville with access to SR 30 and Highway 8991. It's categorized by UDOT as an access category 4, which has a minimum driveway spacing of 500 feet and street spacing of 600 feet. Access to any proposed development must be approved by UDOT, which the applicant does have. Service provisions, the fire district had no comments. The applicant will have to work with waste management for solid waste disposal. Sensitive lands, there are some wetlands present on the eastern edge of the property, but not anything necessarily significant. The online public notice website and letters were mailed to property owners within 300 feet on the 19th, and it was posted in 3 public locations on the 22nd. At the time of writing this staff report, we hadn't received any public comments, but a public comment has been received since then. It's in the packet if you just want to take a look. Our recommendation is originally in the original staff report, we did recommend a denial, but after that further information was provided by the applicant, we don't have a recommendation anymore, but we will help you draft a recommendation to County Council.
Thanks, Connor. Any questions for Connor?
So you said the easement is 33 feet, right?
Right.
So how many homes are going to be accessed from that easement?
So because it's 33 feet, it only qualifies for a minor private, which is 5 homes, I believe.
That's where I'm headed, because
Right,
if
so
they've been more
wouldn't
than
be able to
5,
support the maximum 9.
So-
Unless they got a wider easement,
5 is the limit of what we're going for right now.
realistically, yeah. Unless they get that wider easement, that 66-foot easement.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just when you open this, maybe see who all's here for
Yeah,
this.
there's a few.
So
Yeah.
see how many's for this.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'd accept a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, how many are here that would like to comment on this? We got a couple. Okay, so when you come up, state your name And if someone has, where we got quite a few, and it looks like we're gonna have a few other items tonight. If someone's already made your exact comments, maybe just don't make those or just note that. And if we can keep comments to less than 3 minutes, that would be ideal. So just come up, line up, and just state your name and express your comments.
I wasn't gonna do this. So, 2 years ago, I had a stroke.
What's your name?
Phil Bankhead.
Okay.
2 years ago, I had a stroke. My mind works okay. I just have troubles getting out. But this, going back, when the canal was put in this particular spot, the Darleys that owned the place decided not to be part of that canal company. So this area that we're talking about is a dry farm. And it's, if you go look at it now, if you put a match on it, it would burn down to the ground. That's how dry it is. And so this guy wants to put 9 homes at 2 acres apiece. And how is he gonna keep that 2 acres beautiful with grass or pasture or whatever? And the thing is he cannot. But he will drill wells to try to do that. What I'm here for is less than a block from there is my spring. And some of the other guys have got the same problem. So they're gonna dump all their wells right on top of my spring that will have a bad result on the 200 or 350 acres that we've built and planned for. Now, Mr. Willits knows exactly what the zoning was when he bought it. It's not your call to make him money. He bought it for whatever. Now he's trying to change the zoning so it'll fit him better. So that's all I got to say. I would deeply recommend that you do not rezone this. It makes no sense. And that's all I got to say. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Trevor Darley, and I'm here on behalf of another surrounding 70 acres in the area, that which include the Reed Bryce Darley successor trustee, the Darley Living Trust, Teresa Lichty, Katrina Darley, etc. And we would like you to decline this request. This land in this area is primarily used for agricultural and is highly dependent upon the scarce water supply, like the previous representative stated. By rezoning to residential, it opens the door for water wells to be installed at one or multiple sites, which will continue to deplete the very limited water supply in the area and will directly impact the ability for the owners of the neighboring agricultural properties to farm the land and provide a family for their families. The owners of this property, parcel tax ID 110690007, purchased the land full well knowing that it was zoned as agricultural, and we plead with you to keep it as such. And I'm going to provide you with the signatures of everyone in the trust.
Thank you.
And ownerships.
You can leave it with. Connor, he can keep it with the record to make sure it gets there.
My name's Derek Hendry. The only thing that I want to bring up and be super quick about it is Mr. Willits will probably say that I built a house 8 years ago and drilled a well. I did build a house, but I also built on a piece of ground that my family had owned for a long time, and it is on 16 acres. To go with the statement that you guys have did last year, 2023, you approved that the A10 zones must have 10 acres for one house. That's what these zones are in. All of these lots are provided for that. That's what it should be, so the county can stay looking nice. As a farmer, and there's other farmers in here, when acreage gets chunked down smaller and smaller and smaller as this is, people don't realize how big a 2-acre lot is. And then they get it and it turns into a weed patch. If you want farmers to make it look nice, there's got to be more than 3 acres to a field. Okay? Besides that, you guys, as the county council on here, not that long ago, are buying Cache County's council votes to invest in Elkhorn Ranch to preserve open space. That was this year, July 26th. So how can you approve to buy ground to preserve open space, but let open space be taken away? I just want to know what's the hard stop date? All of these zones are in the A10 zone, so that means they need to have 10 acres for one house. What stops it from this person taking it? Well, I know it's an A-tone, but I can come here and argue that I want to split it up into more lots. Well, what's going to stop that person? Say someone comes and buys all 5 of the lots that Mr. Willits wants to put in. What if he spots them down to 1-acre lots? Now he's going to double his money. Everything that this gentleman read that this is zoned for, I don't even know why we're having this discussion to let it be approved. It makes no sense to me. And I know everybody will argue that you can do what you want with your land. I agree, but what's the stop point of this A10 setting to put it in this RU2? When does it ever quit? If I put it in that, can I break it down again? Can I break it down again? There's got to be some stopping point, because obviously you can just come here and just keep whittling it down farther and farther and farther. So all I want to know is Cache County wanting to do open space and preserve it? Or are they wanting to put 9 houses out in the county and then try to deal with the results of it? So I don't think we should be putting out there that we want to preserve open space while letting other people subdivide the homes and not keep as much open space as we can.
Just keep coming up.
Yeah, you can
Be
just
up
wait
here,
up
and then
here
we
on
don't
the
have to
seats.
wait for you to walk up.
My name's Ashton Lichty. I am the grandson of a Darley. I do have a chunk down there that is ceded to me also from inheritance, but also when he brought up mild wetland, there is a massive wetland down there that my grandfather built a long time ago with German brown trout that are native to this valley. And what I want to know is if it dries up, because those springs feed that, who's responsible to pay for all those trout? All the frogs, turtles, whatever is down there, and down the stream from there. All the pheasants, all the ducks, the geese that nest on our property, sandhill cranes that nest on our property, pelicans come in and eat our fish. All those animals now are affected when that dries up. And I want to know who is going to be responsible. Is it going to be Jed Willits, or is it the county? And that would be my question for you guys. Thank you.
I was a wee bit late coming through the traffic, but I have a quick little PowerPoint. Can I plug? Oh, Jed Willits.
Already wait till the end, and then he might address the
Yeah,
questions.
let's wait till
Wait,
all the
just wait
questions
till
done,
the
then
end?
if we
Okay.
have questions, we'll pull up that PowerPoint.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
So the goal, this land, it was for sale for about 1.5 years. What I don't quite understand is when the land is for sale, why those that are interested in doing what they would like to do with land, whether it's build one house on it or keep it as farmland, it's for sale, it's on the market. Buy it, you know, don't wait for somebody else to do something with it. My son Tyler is planning, we're trying to get him to build a house out there. It's pretty close to our home, and we would just like to keep him in Wellsville. So on the PowerPoint,
Hey, keep your comments,
want to
please.
talk? You can
Look
get over
this,
here.
no, look this
Yep.
way.
Talk to us, yeah.
Funny, I didn't talk through anybody else. So if you see the land where the arrow is, right in the middle, what we plan to do is put 4 homes on that historically dry farmed area. It's 18.71 acres. We did have 19.35. The county, a couple years ago, they broke a little half acre off that's on the other side of the tracks, and they gave it its own tax ID number. So it was right close to 20 acres. We don't plan to build anything over where there's wetlands or, I just saw this as a great opportunity so a couple of my kids could have a home out here. The dry farm area gets a pretty good first crop from whatever the spring, winter we have. And then it's just kind of whatever rains we get, it dwindles down quite extensively. If you go over to the right where it's irrigated alfalfa and then the pasture, all that area just historically I think is a prime agricultural producing area. So that was the plan. If you go up by in the last 20 years, I've seen it where the county's been pretty lenient on, you know, it used to be 1971 parent parcel, used to be able to get 5 lots on it. We live just a little bit northeast of here. We're on 9.83 acres. So right now, it's A10. We couldn't build anything else. Right north of us, 10 years ago, there's 9.83 acre piece that has 5 homes on it. So you could, you know, and I'm totally, I'm good with the, you know, I don't think a home should be in the middle of 10 acres like our house is. That's kind of a waste of land. I mean, there's 6 acres pasture north of us and then 4 acres where we're on. But I agree, if you chop it down into 2 acre lots, our plan, that little area is about 4 acres that's dry farmed. So the plan was to put that in acre lots, around acre and a quarter lots. You know, somebody could have a nice home, have a garden, have an outbuilding if they wanted to. But after the road, we thought that 4 acres that's what that would do. And we're basically, it's the, you know, by the time you put power and the road and everything else in, you've got quite a bit of money invested into a property. But let's say for the 18.71 acres, we were not asked extensively. I never wanted 9 homes on it, but if you 18.71, RU5 would be 3 homes. And by the time you put the everything in there you need for infrastructure for those homes, it just costs a lot to have an operating building lot. Trying to think what else. This PowerPoint, I'd like to go through it at the end. And the easement we have, I guess it needs to say in between this lot and the lot south of it. They've got in the easement now affecting tax parcels number 1168-13 and 1169-7. So we're working on, Matt from the county said it needs to read ingress, egress for both of those lots. When that easement was put in with a turnaround, the approach is in now, an asphalt approach. So that was, I guess it should read ingress and egress for both of those lots on this. But yeah, that's the plan. If you take a 5-acre lot, I mean.
So Jed, we're way past our 3
Okay.
minutes for each one.
Oh, is that
We
okay?
got a few more, I think, that want to come up,
Okay.
so,
If I
but if
can
we
use
have
that
questions for you at the end, we'll have you come up and do that.
Hi, my name is Jody Lichty, and I am part of the Darley Lichty family that I'm super grateful for. I came from the city, so to be able to enjoy this beautiful land just means the world to me, and I would like you to consider to not pass this. Something that we have dealt with those homes being built on that 9.3 acres is trespassers on our property, and how unfortunate it has been. We have had people poaching, fishing down there without permission. You know, God forbid one of them fall in the water and get hurt or something like that, but to have all these extra people coming to the community and not respecting the land as we do is very unfortunate and very scary. And I just really hope that you guys can consider this and to not pass this movement. So
What was your last name again?
it's Jody Lichty.
And where's that exact fishing pond at?
You may never know.
I can tell you.
Okay, we're all over that.
Thank you.
My name is Marcy Larson. I own the piece of property directly south of Mr. Willits' property, and the road goes right through our property, so we border him to the west and to the south. We know Jed well, and we know the family well, and I have no problem with he and his kids building a home across from our property. And if it can be limited to 2 or 3 homes, that is much different than the 9 homes. But I do worry because we bought that land just over a year ago to use for agriculture purposes. It's zoned A10, and so was all the land around it zoned A10. And so we thought we would be able to pursue agriculture purposes with that land. Is currently in alfalfa. My son has plans to put a lavender garden in the top end. We raise animals. We could put chickens, pigs, cows, horses. There's currently cattle and horses on the bottom end of it. But what I've learned through my more than 50 years of working in agriculture and living in agriculture, being raised on a dairy farm and living near other people who don't appreciate farming pursuits, is that residential and agriculture do not often combine well. And like I said, if it's just Tyler building a house there, that's awesome. But I guess where does it stop? Because if it is zoned for 2-acre lots, you know, it could grow, and maybe Jed sells the rest of it, and then someone else puts in smaller lots like Derek spoke about. But so we have cattle, you know, we have fences. I just know they don't combine well. Also, my other concern is safety. That road that goes through that top end of the property, so we gave a right-of-way to Jed and to another gentleman who owns land even farther down in the middle of that, which we can't see. That right-of-way, yes. And so we thought, okay, so that makes you like 2 people. There'll be 1 house on there. So, and the other guy has, whatever his name is, has a right-of-way. So there's, you know, maybe 3 or 4 cars going on that road. If we put 9 homes, possible, I understand that's not what Jed is projecting now, but if there's 9 homes ever put on there, we're gonna have 20+ cars a day going through that little road. Now, if I have, let's say we put goats in there, it'd be a great area for goats. There's lots of weeds. And we would be allowed to put a fence there, put a gate on it, and lock that gate so that the animals can't get on the highway. Well, anyone who has a right-of-way, we would have to give permission to use that gate and to use a combination to be able to access their property. But there is no shoulder of the road there. Let's say they have to get out, they have to unlock that gate, they have to relock the gate. There's potential for animals to be on the road. There's potential for cars to hit them as they are there. I mean, it's not safe. It needs a pull-off to be able to access that so that it is safe And also, who's liable? Someone leaves the gate open, a cow or horse goes out and gets hit and kills someone. Who's liable for that? Is it me because I'm the owner, or is it the person that owns, the person that opens the gate? You know, there's no way to track that down. And so those are some of my concerns, just because there is, you know, potential for it to have 9 homes on it. And that's where my concerns lie. Thank you very much.
Chair, may I ask a question?
You can.
We talked about the easement is affected by 2 other property owners, is that correct?
Yeah.
She is one of them?
Yes.
So if he, being Jed, has an easement and has a 33-foot, and he uses 4 lots, that limits these other 2 people for what they're gonna do for their ground if they wanna do a house, does it not?
Yes, it does.
To me, that's a concern, so if there's 2 property owners that are giving on that easement, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
In
so
addition to us. I mean, it's our
that
land,
would
and then there's
affect how
2
many
more.
homes can go where Mr. Willits is talking about yours and the other one too,
And I
in
guess
my estimation.
the other one, if this gets opened up, then that just allows the next guy over to put homes on his lot. So
Well,
it just opens up a big
It
can of
would be
worms, and they all
limited
use
to
my.
5. Mr. Phillips in the back can verify that, but if your easement is only 33, then that's the max of homes that could be on that easement.
There,
For all 3 of you.
for all 3.
Yes, for all 3
So that would
property owners.
include I mean, I should be allowed a home, so the most
That's
he
what
should
I'm
have.
talking to clarify here about.
Yes, so, I mean, and we don't have plans to build now, but we may in the future. And so, yes, I would like that considered. If I bought that A10 and I plan to keep it A10, I should be allowed to keep my house on it and not have to do more infrastructure. Anyway, thank you.
Clarify that,
Thank
so I
you
was
very
clear.
much for doing that.
I'm Scott Wells with Wellsville City. We have a few concerns with this rezone. It is inside of our annexation area, so in time that will be annexed into Wellsville City. In our general plan, that's 5-acre density, so we really want to try to stick with 5 acres if we can there. Of course, the cluster is the best option there, but 5-acre density is the thing. It doesn't have street frontage. That's considered a flag lot in Wellsville City's eyes. Really, I think you need to live by Wellsville City standards because in time, we're going to be annexing that property. It needs to be living up to us. 33 feet of easement is not nearly enough to supply that. The other thing we have to look at is we keep putting these cul-de-sacs in to try to just stub the road as far as we have to get these houses in. And really what we need to look at is what's our future growth. We need to end that road somewhere so that it can continue and connect all of the south end of the valley. If you stub that road right there, now you've just crippled everything east of that property. So really, as you look at these rezones and what they're doing, we need to look at, does that property have the ability to put a road in at 66 feet wide, which is the county standard, and still have frontage and land to build these homes. So those are a few of our concerns. I think the UDOT is another access. We need to make sure that we're taking care of UDOT. It was approved for 2 homes, not anything more than that. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
My name's Dwight Atkinson. Back to Marcy Larson's traffic, the concerns of the traffic, because right now we have a road that comes off of 4600 that's not too much farther past there. And all the neighbors in that area right now are dealing with an Airbnb that the county hasn't addressed any rules with Airbnbs. So 2 weeks ago, we were dealing on that little road coming onto the county, 30-plus cars in one day, and that road's only planned for 3 homes coming on and down that road. So if we're seeing 9 homes and say we get 1 Airbnb down there, nothing against Jed or anything like that, I'm talking traffic. What if one of those is an Airbnb and we still don't have any rules in for that? Now we have 30 and 30, so now we have 60 homes in that little tiny area. So that's a huge concern because it's been a huge concern for everybody on that 4600 West and the Lickities that are just north of that. So that's the only concern I would have is you know, we're already got too much traffic on the weekends and Thursday through Sunday, just flooding that whole area. So just consider that probably.
Thank you.
Really didn't want to come up here twice.
You got like 30 seconds left of your 3 minutes,
Hey,
maybe.
just still Bakehead. What Jed didn't tell you is that he was the one trying to sell that land. So if it wouldn't sell, maybe that's some light on you. And to the other guys that are in here complaining about it, he's made all these promises to all these people.
Bill, just look up here.
Yeah.
Just look
You
up
just-
here.
These are the guys that he sold them to on the last one. And 5 years later, they're all complaining because he told them one thing and he's trying to do another thing. So if you're gonna get in bed with him, just plan on having more meetings.
Hi, I'm Lacey. Oh, I'm Lacey Lichty. I'm part of the Darley Trust. My parents live right there, the Darley the house right there. And so you're gonna have the road going next to my parents in a sense, okay? Guess what? Jed didn't let us know about this meeting. We had no idea that this was going on. And a lot of other neighbors had no idea that he was going to fly this across everyone. It was only other neighbors, because all of us neighbors love each other, and we are united. We are united farmers. We love each other. And the ones that were close enough, did not want to let us know about this meeting, so we couldn't come and fight this. And I don't think that's fair. I think a fair man should let every one of his neighbors know what is going to happen. And for my parents to not receive a letter and then get a message from a neighbor down the road saying, oh my gosh, did you see this? That's not fair, and I don't consider that a fair man.
What house are you one more time?
Parents are right where the arrow
Right
is.
next to, yep, that one.
So they should have, Connor,
We did
so
not
some
get
letters.
one letter, and I don't think that's fair.
So the county should follow up on that. So anyone within 300 feet of the property should have received a notice.
He didn't get one either.
So Connor, we'll want to
Give
follow
your
up on that.
names, put a check by your name or do something.
But
Didn't get
as
a letter. So they-
neighborhood, we are a tight neighborhood. He lives just right next to us. He could easily come to us. He could talk to us. But instead of doing that, he's not. That's another thing. There's no coming we're united farmers here. That is us, to keep the farmland, to keep our families. The Cache County is farmland, and he does not care about that. He does not. He didn't come to us at all.
The tax notice is sent to Willard on your property.
It's okay.
Never received it.
All right, we'll check those with the county.
I'm just saying, as we are united neighbors, we all love each other, we want to be close, we want to help each other as much as we can. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
My name's Andrew Anderson. I just want to say, whether it be 2 homes, 5 homes, 10 homes, whatever it is, at the end of the day, it was A10. So what's changed? A10, it was put A10 for a reason, and that was to not make it so popularly dense, so dense, right? So yeah, like 2 homes, 10 homes, doesn't matter. 1 home per 10 acres is what's in bylaw. Why would we not stick to that? It was put in place for a reason. I don't know that we should make exceptions to that. Me and my wife, we wanted to build. We have access to 5 acres. We've wanted to build for the last 3 years. Haven't been able to because we can't obtain another 5 acres to build. So how many other people are in that same situation where they see this one workaround, get it rezoned so we can build however many homes it may be, more than 1, like it should be, and then how many other people are going to say, well, Jed was able to build 4 on there. How come we, knew it was 1 per 10 acres, so we haven't fought to get it because we go by what we can do, not exceptions around what we can do or what we should do. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. We'll give you one more minute.
That's fine. Yeah, if you go to the parcel, well, where the big shop is, right there, where it says Barndominium, That was 16.31 acres. I did that subdivision for the Brandleys about 4 years ago. What the idea of this was to do was to cluster the homes over Dwight Atkinson, who spoke a couple minutes ago. He's on 1 acre. House next to him, Larson on the left, is 0.75. Lyons right below that is 1.49. The balance of it, which is a buildable lot, because we had a well permit for it, is about 13 acres. So that's the same idea. I always kind of knew when I asked the county, okay, we've gone more lenient, lightened up, more lenient, and now we're tighter. And they said, well, we're going to stick to this 10 or 2 and 5 down zone. But what we want is we want to cluster the homes. That's what I'm trying to do on this dry acreage.
Right, we get that.
Okay, sounds good. But it's the same as what's above there.
My name is Bessie Hendry, and this is very uncomfortable for me, so I kind of wrote some notes. But the subdivision that he did before was not honest in the first place. And my question is, he has already split that. So he had that, he split it, he sold it to Marcy Larson, and then he owns the other. What allows him to keep splitting? He's already split that. So what allows him to take that other half and keep splitting it? Like, where do you stop? You know, where do you stop that split? The other question is, why did he start building his road before it was approved, and what about the fire turnaround? And at the beginning, we have talked to some city workers and other county people, and they said, if we could get the city on our side, which Scott has already told his concerns about the city, and maybe this not being such a good idea, that if we could get the city to reject it, and then he would really only be able to do one house, and the plan would no longer go through. So why now is the county making it even possible, and why are we even having this meeting and having this possible to happen? Because he's already told his concerns from the city, right? He says it's not a good idea. So right there, that tells you this should not go through. The road where I get off the highway, I live just, sorry, I can't even think, but just north of that. And that other subdivision was put in by Jed Willits. It has not been a happy thing in our community at all. They are right, it does not blend with agriculture well at all. Since then, there is so much traffic, and the road where you get off the highway to come down to my house is already congested from the 4 other houses Jed put there, right smack dab as you get off the highway. That should not have been approved. Even the guy that got hired after the project was approved, my husband talked to, and he said he would have never approved that if he was in that position. But since it was already done, now all of us have to live with it. Now, you think it's safe to put 7 more or more houses close to the end of the highway where I already almost get off and hit people coming from the Airbnb and the other subdivision that has been put in there. I definitely do not think that's smart, and I think you should listen to our comments about that, because we are the ones driving those roads, and you as a committee maybe don't know as well as us, but we do know it's already congested with the other 4 houses that he has put on there. And it should only be allowed for the one. That was the story we all got at the beginning, is that his son was gonna put 1 home there, and we were totally fine with that. People can do what they want with their land, but it's zoned for that. Just recently, like others said, it's up to 10 acres now instead of 5 to try to keep the land as a county and beautiful and farm country. If you allow this to happen, you know others are going to come right to your front door and try to do the same thing. And then beautiful Cache County will not be so beautiful anymore with our open fields. What's your plan and rules going forth as others try to do this exact thing around us? Is it just going to keep growing to my front door and to our neighbor's front door? I already said that. And then how do you propose this is fair to the citizens living around this when he just keeps splitting everything after he's already split it? He's already split it once. And now he's taking his piece and trying to split it more. It's a money game. And like she said, agriculture and these big subdivisions do not meet well. Kids are roaming, and I think that's a huge, the subdivisions are meant to be in the city limits and stuff like that. 1 home is wonderful. Somebody can still farm the field, have a beautiful yard. It's no place for subdivisions, and I think we can all agree as county members that we don't want subdivisions out of our front door. That's why we live there. And we are the Hendrys, and we've had land, and we want to preserve it and keep it open. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
My name is Mark Lyons. I was not going to speak tonight when I came in. I happen to be one of those 4 homes that's on that questionable subdivision that happened. 4 years ago, we came in, we saw a piece of land offered for sale for 1.5 acres. We contacted the realtor who was selling the property, who said they were in the process of changing that, and that we were only going to get 1.25 acres. We agreed to that. We purchased the land. Lo and behold, about 4 months later, I get a property tax bill for 1.49 acres. I checked with the county, and the county said that rezoning had never been done. I was told that rezoning was going to be done so that a gentleman in this room could accumulate 30 acres so that he could subdivide it. He couldn't come up with 30 acres, so he never completed the replatting or rezoning or whatever he was going to do. So we ended up with 1.49 acres. We contacted a real estate attorney to verify that we had 1.49 acres, not 1.25 acres, which we were told we were going to get. Subsequently, the neighbor who has the barn dominium and another neighbor were offered that 1/4 acre. I was threatened if I didn't turn that 1/4 acre over, that somebody was going to sue me for not having that 1/4 acre. I contacted a legal representative who said, you purchased 1.49 acres. Ignore any calls, ignore any threats. You have 1.49 acres. I wonder now if this subdivision is the next play on the I couldn't get my 30 acres and subdivide it, so now I'm going to take a smaller piece and subdivide it. And I'm one of those people that are right off that road that make it difficult for the Hendrys to reach there. I think it's a tough call. I'm sitting here as the guy that 4 years ago bought a piece of land, was told one thing, was sold something else, and then had to get legal representation to verify what I had. So I think you should decline this. This, to me, also sounds like a money play. I can divide it more. The gentleman said if I divide it R5, I can only put 3 houses there. It's too expensive to build just 3 houses. If I can build 9 or 5, maybe I can make a little bit of money. Sounds like a money play to me. I strongly suggest that you decline this rezoning. Thank you.
My name's Bryce Darley. I own quite a bit of land, around there. An issue that I know you guys don't have any control over, but she talked about a pond. There's 2 ponds. One's used by Northfield Irrigation, and when he stated that there's a minor marsh on the end, it's minor now, but it never used to be till the houses started drilling wells. You guys didn't realize it affected it, but it did affect some. But it's getting critical now because the farmers depend on that water to water their fields for it, and that's income for me. And if you look, the land north of that I own, and if you say, hey, let's give him permission, I just will subdivide my acres. I don't know how many acres, but I got quite a few through there. I just will subdivide mine too. Then we can be a happy family and have a big city out there. But that's not the purpose. He knew what he was getting when he bought the land. Plain and simple. And I don't know why he's come to request it because, well, he wants to make money. That's the bottom line. If it's for his son, I understand. Wellsville has plenty of land for sale inside their city limits, which is, what, a mile away, if that? So, yes, he'd like to have it close to me. Having family next door to me might be a little rough, but a mile away would be fine. And I'm just stating that, and things change. People get divorces. So yes, his son might want to build it, but who says in 3 years when he builds a house he gets divorced and then he want to subdivide more? So I don't know, that's what I'm saying. But that minor marshland affects a lot of farmlands down the field. And and it's income. And like I say, if you start with this, subdividing it, I got plenty of land, I just will subdivide also, and it'll ruin the whole area down there. And it's for wild game, it's pristine, farmers use it to grow grass, but with the lack of water, because I do have a degree in geology, by the way, one of my degrees, that's an aquifer sitting there, and as the water level drops, right, because the wells are draining it down, it's less and less water going into the pond, which the farmers use for irrigation. That's all I'm going to say.
Thanks.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tyler Willits, the apparently esteemed Jed's son, which I love my dad, and he's great. And despite whatever you may feel of him.
Just up here. You don't need to address them.
Sorry.
Just up here.
Make it quick. I'm used to this, yeah. I'd like to start out by saying that I see all their points, and they're fair points. I grew up in Wellsville. I loved it. And I did always want to make it back there. And just like the last gentleman said, yes, there are plots of land closer in the city, but very out of my price range. And yeah, it'd be great if I could afford that, and everybody else here who has homes that isn't in my situation, that's great. But I don't know if any of you have seen the housing market lately, but it kind of sucks. And talking about it with my dad, stressing over it, I came to the conclusion that, hey, maybe he knows a good deal I could get, something like that. And we were looking and looking, and then he came up with this idea to possibly subdivide this little parcel into 4 lots, not the 9 like some people have mentioned, to keep 1 or 2, 3 of the lots for some of his kids with a challenging housing market to purchase land at a reasonable price to then build a house that they can stay in and stay in for a while. And my wife and I would love to buy a house right now. We have 2 small kids, but the house that we'd want and we'd want to stay in would be a fair bit bigger than what our price range could be right now. And yeah, we could rent, but at some point we got to buy a house. And I'll be quick. I'm trying to be succinct, but I think that it's a hard decision because there's a lot of fair points. I get the farming side of it. I get the agriculture side of it. But just like the 2-zone lot or 2-acre lot is supposed to do, it's supposed to make things combined and cluster homes together to leave that farming area open. And that'd be our whole goal. We grew up in Wellsville. I'd love to raise my kids in Wellsville. And yeah, I'd love to buy a house that's somewhere in there, but it's expensive. And a lot of these people, I don't think understand that, frankly. So, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have additional ones that haven't already been said?
Yes.
Because you dared to come up once.
Not as a representative of the trust that owns 70 surrounding acres, but as a person, as Trevor Darley, he says, you guys all own homes, and you guys don't know how expensive or filled the housing market is. I'm your age. I'm 33 years old. I understand the housing market. I took a risk, and I bought my house, right? This is A1. I have access to 5 acres. Just like Lacey Lichty said, we obeyed the law and the regulations, and we did not build on those 5 acres, right? That is our right, okay? Because it is A1. We couldn't because they're designated at least 1 house per 10 acres. We followed the laws of the land. That's all we're asking, is simply obey the laws of the land. Even we understand the housing market. It is the way it is, and that's part of life. We take risks. And sometimes we do what we need to be done. And I just want to say that there. We understand it.
Thanks.
My name is Teresa Lichty, and the houses will be behind me. My thought is, Jed has 10 acres by his house. Let his son build there. Also, maybe you need to have the environmentalists come check the wetlands, because I bet they won't let him do it, because by our pond we have turtles, we have a lot of wildlife, beaver, and that will dry up our pond. So if we get the environmentalists, I bet they will not approve it. That's all I have to
Thank you.
say.
Anyone else? Oh, I got one more. Oh, I thought we were there. We're so close.
I'm Ron Larson. I am the owner of the last.
Hey, if you want to have conversations in the audience, could you go out in the hall so we can hear? Thank you.
I'm the owner of the Lot 1 of the Wellsville Rising subdivision, and I am just addressing like the barn dominium. I've made phone calls about the traffic and the foot traffic that goes past my house. I have people every weekend, or on many occasions, I've had people loitering at the stop sign and walking down 4600, and they've just been a little bit of a nuisance, and I'd like to see something done about that. I've called about the ordinances.
So that's probably could be addressed meeting with the county planning and zoning.
Yeah, I think before any other homes are approved right there in that area, that needs to be addressed, because they said there are no ordinances in place that prohibit that. But as far as I know, there's no ordinances that say that you can have a Airbnb there. When I built my property, I was under the understanding it was single-family homes, and that's why I built out there, is because I wanted more of a rural, existence, where I'd be able to live a little more peaceful. And I have very small grandchildren, and I'm getting people walking up and down that road. They have 13 acres on that end of the property, and yet they can't contain the renters from the Airbnb to that 13 acres. They have to, go through the neighborhood and wander down, the roads. I think that needs to be addressed before any other homes are approved right there in that area.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no one else, I would entertain a motion to close the public
Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, commissioners. Has that drummed up any new questions for Connor for you?
I was gonna ask him can you pull up some of the sensitive lands, like the wetland layer or whatever, just so we can see what the GIS shows for the area? I guess the questions or the comments that I have, I don't know if we have answers, but if getting back to some of Nolan's questions, the easement width, if it's 33 feet and it restricts to 5 homes, I'd love to know, understand that restriction. If that prevents other landowners down the road from building additional homes on, even if it is without a rezone or something like that. And then this comment that UDOT only approved the access for 2 homes, that's a question in my mind too.
Yeah, so here's the wetlands right here.
Okay.
Mr. Willis would have to do a density calculation if he did apply for a subdivision. RE2 is not exempt from that, like A10. In terms of the UDOT permit,
So this is a rezone, so we don't have any conditions that we usually submit with a rezone, but we would verify UDOT's access, and currently the infrastructure that's been built there has not been approved or gone through the engineering department, so they would still have to try to meet private road standards, which that may or may not meet, so. But yeah, if they want to do more lots, then that would have to be considered a road by UDOT, and so that's why the engineering department puts some of those statistics in your planning review packet so that you can see that the road spacings and those types of things. If they come back, it's possible UDOT may or may not approve an additional road there. It's not a driveway access at this point, so.
Thanks.
Any other commissioners have questions?
No questions, I just got, the reason the county approved the A2 zoning was, there are particular areas that fit that we know it's gonna be annexed by a city, we know that there's infrastructure there in place to accommodate multiple homes on an acreage. And obviously, the county council has given us reason to believe that, in my mind, that an A2 in this area doesn't fit. If we deny that today, they can still go to the county council, they would, and they can plead that case before the county council. But in the workshops and everything that we've had with the county council, to me, this does not fit the A2 standard that was given to us to work on. And so there's been places in the valley we've approved A2s, and others that we definitely have rejected, and the council has gone along with that rejection. So I think this is one of those that does not fit their initial ideas of an A2.
Any other discussions?
I would say it doesn't fit the Wellsville City general plan as well as the county's general plan.
Yeah, the Wellsville City has it as A5s for that area when they get out that far to annex at some point.
Right. I'm ready to make a motion unless somebody else.
Let's do it. I think we're good.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we recommend to the county council denial of the White Bison Acres rezone based upon staff's suggested findings. The location of subject property is not compatible with the purpose of the rural RU2 zone. Issues with the easement. We did hear from Wellsville City, even though it's not in their immediate next to them, it's still, we listened to them. And then just my overall thoughts with supporting the counties, keeping the much as we can the county areas open. It's very concerning to me that if we pass this, that it's gonna open up similarities all over, just as we're about to hear again tonight later. So I would make that motion that we suggest to the county council or recommend denial.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And just so those that came tonight know how the process works, some of you were concerned that we were letting them do this. And so every property owner in the county has a right to apply for a rezone, right? It's not our job to say you can apply for that rezone. Now, we can recommend denial and the county council can then deny it. But we're not here to say you can't come in and try that. And so any landowner can try it. It may not happen. It may not get through us and the county council, but that's as a landowner. Everyone in this room has that right to try with their land if they would like to do so. So, thanks for your input. And with that, we will move on to item number 5. You got a presentation for us there, Connor. Yeah. Yeah, we can wait for just a second. Yep, that will be perfect, and Connor will follow up and make sure why that did not happen. And if you could, take your conversations out the front door so it's a little quieter in here for the next one. Yeah, there's some right here. We ran out, so she printed some more, but there should be one there for you now. No. You can't. Sorry, buddy.
Hope you
It'd be
brought your
nice.
seatbelt and the beverage.
That's right. I should have told you guys not to come till 9 o'clock. All right. All right, Connor, you ready with that one?
Alrighty, so this is the Riverside rezone. Sorry. is the Riverside rezone. It concerns this parcel and this parcel. It's currently a request to rezone 20.47 acres from A10 to RU2, and it's north of Paradise. The maximum number of potential lots is 9. Parcel 01864, the parcel to the west, has a maximum potential of 7, and 187.2 has a potential of 2. Both parcels are legal. They're in the configuration they were on August 8, 2006. Once again, RU2 is more restrictive. No uses that are no longer available include agricultural manufacturing, rural kennel, recreational facilities, cemetery, crematorium, private airport, concentrated animal feed operation, livestock auction facility, agritourism, small scale slaughter facility, winery, and topsoil extraction. So there is a mix of residential and agricultural to the south and the east, and it's mainly agricultural to the north and the west. It is located in the Paradise City annexation area. Unfortunately, I couldn't really find Paradise's general plan. The one link I found was broken, so that was the issue there. For the Cache County general plan, it is located in the urban expansion overlay, and it's also located in the agriculture and ranching zone. So the purpose of the agriculture and ranching zone is agricultural and rangeland uses on private lands and our conservation easements, no public access, are expected to continue in the valley. Separation from dense residential developments is advantageous. The agricultural landscape provides separation between adjacent municipalities and protects suitable soils. Preferred uses are agriculture, ranching, and rural residential uses at densities of less than 1 unit per 10 acres, conservation easements, and conserved public lands and agritourism. Secondary uses include industrial and commercial uses directly supportive of agriculture, so processing, packaging, and distribution. Clustered subdivision amendments, outdoor recreation, and farm work or housing. And discouraged uses include residential developments at densities of greater than 1 unit per 10 acres, if not in a clustered subdivision development. Roads, the primary access to this is 7800 South. It's on that north end of the properties. It's classified as a minor local. It services agriculture and residential lands. It's maintained year-round by the county. It's considered acceptable as to travel lanes, right-of-way, paved shoulder, gravel shoulder, clear zone of material, and currently has a minimum driveway spacing of 10 feet, minimum street spacing of 300 feet. 7900 South, the road that's just on the southern end of those parcels. It's classified as a minor local, services agricultural and residential lands, maintained year-round by the county. It's considered acceptable to travel lanes, right-of-way, paved shoulder, and clear zone. It's considered substandard as to gravel shoulder material. The fire district had no comments. The applicant must work with waste management for solid waste disposal. There are sensitive lands on parcel 0108600004, so that parcel on the west, some of which are considered non-developable, specifically steep slopes and wetlands. So the applicant, if they were to apply for a subdivision, they would need to do a density calculation to figure out their net developable acreage. Noticing the online notice and letters to the property owners within 300 feet were sent on the 19th, and this was posted to 3 public locations on the 22nd. We have received no public comments, and we didn't include a recommendation, but we will help the planning commission draft one to county council.
Thanks, Connor. Any questions for Connor?
I do have a question. So it hasn't been too long ago, maybe 5 years, I don't know. If anybody's from that area, you could help us, but didn't Burnett's own that feedlot on the corner? Okay, regardless whether they did or they didn't. They came in to develop this, if you recall. They were trying to develop it, and I'd swear at that time that was a dirt road. And there was a...
Yeah.
79 still is?
Yep.
But 78's been paved all along. Okay. Okay. That's what I was wondering. So 78, but did you chip seal it or did you asphalt it?
We built our portion of the road and then give it to the county. They just chip sealed it.
But my question is was any of it asphalted?
Yeah. Not before.
It was all chip sealed?
That was all.
Okay.
Matt can clarify.
So 7800
Yeah.
Meets county standards, newly paved, upgraded, everything like that. So, the property owner who built the back of there was required to do half of that road. The county did the other half of that. So that road is one of the ones that's up to standard and currently meets all county's code.
Any other questions before we open it up for a public hearing?
I was just gonna ask Connor to also pull up the sensitive lands on this one, please. You know, we can move on. We don't have-
So while he's pulling that up, do I have a motion to open a public hearing?
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, how many do we have here to comment on this one? Looks like only a few, so we can come up and state your name and give us your comments.
Joseph Nielsen. We have property on 7900 South, and I think the 2-acre lot is a lot better than the 10-acre lot. With, you get 10 acres of Scotch thistle and Dyer's Road, 2 acres is a lot better, one guy can handle it. And I think it's a great idea, and I think it ought to be improved. And just for your information, I live just north of the Temple, and that's the densest block in all of Logan City.
Keep it there.
And I feel a lot more roomy there than I do up in Cliffside or Lundstrom Park. And a lot has to do with the design of the houses and the widths of the roads. You go out to Paradise now and all these new subdivisions, the shoebox houses, they look like 10 times denser than we are.
Okay, thank you.
But I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sands, it's pulled up.
Yeah, so it'll affect.
Few acres off there.
Yeah, potential lots.
Okay, my name is Nola Murray, and we own the property to the east. So our property is on borders 400 west and 7800 south and 7900 south. I have some concerns, and I want to ask some questions also. When we have an RU2, can these homes be placed on half-acre lots? Is that correct?
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yes, totally. It could be down to that small.
Totally.
So if this is accepted, there's the possibility of that happening, correct? Okay, I have another question. And what about grandfathering? It's from 1970. Can you explain that to me?
I wasn't
The
born
parcel size and how it was, but you guys
Yeah.
do it.
I believe you're referring to a previous density calculation we had, where we would look back to 1970 to see if it had changed size or configuration. Does that sound right? So back then, and that was actually the Wellsville Rising subdivision, that was the last 1970 subdivision. But what happened is we did the first 3 lots at 1 lot for every 2 acres, and then it reverted back to the underlying zone. But that no longer exists, so we just go off the base zoning.
You go off the base?
Yeah.
So our property cannot grandfather into that, on that? You're positive?
I am positive.
Okay, all right. Anyway, my concern is the possibility of having clusters. Not that they would do it, I know that, but the possibility is there if it passes that these homes, you could cluster 9 of them in an area that would affect our agricultural land, and I would be very concerned about that.
Thank you.
Did you have anything to say?
No, the density is my biggest concern, our biggest concern on there. It's just, and I've talked to.
What was your name so we get you on the record?
Paul Murray.
I knew what it was, but we needed it for the record.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, the density is my only or our only concern.
Okay. Thank you.
So, well, okay, I have a concern. there is a subdivision to the north on 400 West, and I understand, and I'm not sure, I didn't look it up, that those are 1 acre lots in, it would have been.
There's 3 of them there?
There's more than 3.
Oh, we might not be far enough north.
The first 3 are 2, the first 2 are 1, the third one's 0.9, and then you get into 3.35, but carry on.
Okay, so is there a possibility of that happening? So if you did an A2, the minimum lot size would be 2 acres?
No, so the way that works is if it's zoned RU2 and you have 10 acres,
Mhm.
you get 5 lots. Those lots, you could do 5 half-acre lots and leave 7.5 acres as farming. So it's just so many for the parcel.
Okay.
And the size depends on how much room you need for your septic system and still be far enough away for your well. So half acre, sometimes it's pretty tough to meet the half acre one. 5/8 is a little easier to meet with the septic system and well setbacks you have to have, but that's where the density comes from.
I keep thinking, I would think that there would be, for the number of houses they want to do, I think there ought to be something that could be done besides the RU2 would be
Yeah,
my
there's-
concern.
County doesn't have any other zonings for that.
Well,
So
they
that's
got an
what we've
RU, they do have an RU5.
Yep.
But you gotta go through the same process, and with that, instead of getting 1 house per every 2 acres, you would get 1 per every 5.
Okay.
As it currently sits, it's 1 per 10.
Okay. So we are concerned about the density.
Thank you.
All RU2s is anywhere from 1/2 to 2 acres.
Correct.
Low end is 1/2.
It could be, well, you could have one that's still 5 acres on that parcel and the other ones are half acre. So it's just the density you get off of that. It doesn't really determine the lot size.
So for the owners, we have concept plans, we guys wanna pass them out. So we're only taking out, we only wanna do 4 acres total. My name is Wayne Rude, and my wife is Leanne Rude. So what we're trying to do, a couple of years ago, we built our house down there. It says Lot 1. You can see it was wherever the turnaround is. Yep, right there. So from our property line, we paid for the road. I had it all put in, the circle, everything, and then we had to give the county so much easement around the road. I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, we built our house there, and our kids, we're just doing our lots for our kids and our grandkids, or who, whoever they want to put there.
5.
So he couldn't do it.
But there's gonna be a total of 8 lots, counting ours. And the reason we wanna do that was we want each lot to have its own tax ID number. We don't want it or anything hooked to the existing ranch. So the wetlands that he's showing are down the hill by the river. They don't affect these properties, to my opinion. And so what we're trying to do is just half-acre lots. But depending on what Bear River says for my septic, I might have to do like a 5/8 or whatever. But they approved mine for a half acre, and we got our septic fit in there. And then our well is down by the barn, and we pipe it up to the house. So if the lots have to be bigger for our wells and the septics, and that's just what we have to do. But really, all we're taking out is 4 total acres. And the road is a beautiful paved road that we had to put in, and before it was gravel.
So, just, Mr. Chairman, you present it.
According to you, Connor, so that one piece he has is only 5 acres, right? So he can only get 2 lots on that parcel. So the way he's got it drawn, he couldn't do it anyways here. Do you have a copy?
You have
of
4 on it.
He's got 4 lots on that. That wouldn't work anyways, because it's a 5 acre parcel.
Well, we're gonna move that line, so the rest will be ag. So we're gonna move that 5 acre boundary line. We're gonna have a boundary line adjustment to move that.
That would be okay.
Yeah, we'll probably just take that line and just swing it over right behind the lots.
Okay, thank you. Any other one else with comments?
I'm Megan Isa. I live not too far from this. I just have concerns with this many homes going in that area with water, traffic, everything that comes with that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Short and sweet.
I'm Leanne Bickmore Rood. This property has been in my family since 1883. It was an original homestead, and we love it. We love ag, we love the farm. We want it to stay that way, but we want our kids, they love it too, and they want to be there, and they want to move pipe. They don't want to have to drive to come move pipe or help with the cows or help with the horses or help do whatever they need to do on the farm. And that's where we're coming from, or at least that's where I'm coming from, and Wayne too. We're still going to do it as ag. We still are going to do our fields so we can feed our cows. We want to have cows. That's our legacy. It's been that way, and that's what it's going to continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there's other parcels that's in the half circle deed. The one parcel's in our name, and then the half circle deed, so there's some down by the river. So that's part of the whole ranch as well. It was Bill Bickmore's property.
I'm Nola Murray again, and I wasn't able to see. So if he's moving the boundary on the 5-acre parcel, that's the parcel that's right next to our property. So how many homes would be allowed on that 5-acre? So what is happening is all those homes are right adjacent to our property. Is that what I'm gathering?
Only one.
They're gonna go east.
And this part of the process, we're not even approving that. That's a concept, so.
Okay.
We would have to approve or recommend approval of the rezone. The county council would have to approve it, and then he would bring a subdivision plat that would go through all that. So at this point, that's just an
Okay.
idea he has. Yeah.
Thank you.
But it gives you an idea of what he's thinking about. Any other comments? Okay, I will accept a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
You make the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions from that or clarifications you would like?
I would say this kind of is similar to the one before, where it doesn't really meet the county standards, where it doesn't, the general plan is to keep open space, have it's zoned for 1 house per 10 acres. We don't have representation from the city here to have their input. But to me, I think we go with the denial on this from the cases that it's the water issue and where it's located at in the county.
And I had a similar, and this one's similar to the last one in my mind, that it's not adjacent to a city boundary, which is really where the RU2s generally are approved. They touch city boundaries, and then the next step would be the RU5s, which is really, in my mind, where both of these two would fit better than RU2s. But yeah, that many homes, if you look at scroll down on the packet Connor sent out, right, if you go 2 blocks, or I don't know what the streets are there, but to 8300 South, and south of that's where you see that little bit denser building on there. So, yeah, I'm kind of on the same boat as you.
Mr. Chairman. I second what you guys think or said, but in addition to that, we had primarily heard from 3, but one party has multiple parcels near this. And a big a concern as any is we open this up on this parcel, what's gonna stop it on the neighboring parcels if we pass it here? But then in addition to that,
Oh, wait, we're not taking comments right now, sorry.
In addition to that, I just worry that if notices were sent out, like they sent on the last one too, because these typically bring pretty good turnout, as we saw the last one, and part of that being the same property owners, but that was my thoughts.
I guess my comments on this one, and, you know, from an access standpoint, appears much better than the previous one. That seems more straightforward, and I guess my major concern is just the given location, its proximity to municipalities. We've tried to stay pretty consistent in where we've approved RU2s, close to those municipal boundaries, and that's my major concern with this one, is just plopping this density out into a not very dense area.
I echo the same comments, so.
Okay, I would accept a motion then, commissioners.
Let's see, where they at?
I'll make the motion of denial of the Riverside rezone.
Recommendation.
Recommend denial to the county council of the Riverside rezone. Based on the staff report and the recommendations that the density is a little more than what I feel council has instructed us to do for an RU2.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, Connor, do you have a presentation on that? Well, we might better. Is it 7 o'clock that we got to extend it from, or 7:30? What's our time when we have to? 8, oh, we got all kinds of time.
We got lots of time.
Kick back and relax. Trying to move it along. Okay. Marshall Mon Family Trust rezone request.
Okay, so this is the mark. Okay, so this is the Marshall P. Mon Family Trust, 14 acres, currently A10 rezone. It's a request to rezone 14 acres from A10 to RU2 between Mendon and Wellsville. The maximum number of potential lots is 7. Boundary line adjustments were done, but the parcel is still legal. Once again, RU2 is more restrictive. Uses that are no longer available include agricultural manufacturing, rural kennel, recreation facilities, cemetery, crematorium, private airport, concentrated animal feed operation, livestock auction facility, agritourism, small-scale slaughter facility, winery, and topsoil extraction. There is a mix of agricultural and residential, basically all around us, north, south, east, west. It is in the Mendon City annexation area, per the Mendon City general plan. It's located in either the A1 or A2 zone. Unfortunately, the map wasn't super detailed to the point where I could tell, so it's in one of those zones. A1, lot sizes are between 2.5 to 5 acres, and it's a focus on farm animals and production opportunities. A2 is lot sizes between 5 and 10 acres, with a focus on farm animals and production opportunities. Per the Cache County general plan, it's not located in the urban expansion overlay, and it's also located in the agriculture and ranching zone. The purpose of the agriculture and ranching zone is agricultural and rangeland uses on private lands under conservation easements with no public access are expected to continue in the valley. Separation from dense residential developments is advantageous. The agricultural landscape provides separation between adjacent municipalities and protects suitable soils. Preferred uses are agriculture, ranching, rural residential uses at densities of less than 1 unit per 10 acres. Conservation easements, conserve public lands, and agritourism. Secondary uses include industrial and commercial uses directly supportive of agriculture, so processing, packaging, and distribution. Clustered subdivision developments, outdoor recreation, and farm worker housing. Discouraged uses include residential developments at densities of greater than 1 unit per 10 acres, if not a clustered subdivision development. Roads, Its access is off SR 23. It's a UDOT road. It's classified as minor arterial. It services residential and agricultural lands, but is primarily the connection between Mendon and Wellsville with access to SR 30 and Highway 8991. It's categorized by UDOT as an access category 4, which has a minimum driveway spacing of 500 feet and street spacing of 660 feet. Access to any proposed development must be approved by UDOT. Service provisions, the fire district had no comments, and the applicant needs to work with waste management for solid waste disposal. The online public notice and letters to the property owners within 300 feet were sent on the 19th. It was posted in 3 public locations on the 22nd. We have not received any public comments. Staff has no recommendation, but we will help Planning Commission write a letter to County Council.
Chair, can I ask a question?
You can.
We see that it's in the Mendon annexation zone, but how far is it from the Mendon city limits right now?
You can zoom there.
Sorry, I can't see that.
I think 2900 south is the edge of Mendon.
Yeah.
That's where their limits are right now?
Yeah, right now.
That's not too far then. That's within 3 blocks.
No.
2 blocks? Further?
Yeah.
Because
I don't think it's
2900.
I don't think it's 29.
I was thinking 20, it's, that's 2000.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh.
Yeah, you gotta get up there to the.
The black line.
Yeah, you can see it there.
I thought you said 2900,
Yeah.
but it is black.
He did, but he was mistaken.
Yeah, it's,
You're good. So close to a mile in, right?
Yeah, just 1.21.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Connor? If not, I would entertain a motion to open a public hearing for the Marshall Mond Trust family rezone.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, how many do we have here to comment on this one? Ooh, get the floor. Mr. Walbridge, come on up.
I just wanted to mention the fact that just down below this piece of ground is Darley Spring, which irrigates about 426 acres, 26 landowners on that. And over the course of the years, we've seen the area up at Maple Rise, all the wells that have been drilled up in that area, affect our spring. We're just concerned, there's 26 of us, we're concerned that 7 more wells up there would again affect the spring. We can live with one home up there. We'd like to see it kept A10, or 10-acre parcels. If we can live with that, and the county can live with that, that's what we'd like to see happen. We would not like to see the 7 wells put in, and if it came to that, we would obviously protest the wells that are going in, but we'd like to see it stay A10. I think it's further away from Wellsville than the other ones that we've talked about as far as being close to city limits, or that. I think 2-acre lots are, well kept, close to city limits. And then as you get further out, increase the size of the lots. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
No, I didn't raise my hand, but.
We didn't close it yet, so you don't have to.
Okay.
Jed Willets. Oh, thanks. And I would just like to just state as far as property rights. I know the first one we went through, and I apologize, I was 5 minutes behind time getting here, but I think the county, what I've heard when I've talked to the county over the years, why it used to be, above where we live, there's 5 lots. And now if we were to subdivide it, we couldn't. There's just not enough land. What I've heard from the county is they want to cluster the homes and leave more farmland. But if you shut them all down because 15 neighbors or 1 neighbor come in and said, hey, I want it kept A10 because I'm next door and I just want it to stay how it is. That's not meeting anybody's goals, because if the goal on say a 30-acre piece is to keep 25 of that acres farmland forever and put the homes clustered on 5 acres, that makes more sense. Instead of just shutting things down and saying, okay, I think that tramples on the individual's rights who actually owns that property. And I don't care if you're gonna kill our brown trout, you're gonna, everybody that's gone in has put a well in out there. And we built 20 years ago, a lot of the same people were here to contest our well because the same thing. So it's like, there has to be some give and take. So I think in all of these cases, as you go forward, I would never have done asking for 9 lots, but all there is that, or 5, so either at 9 or 3, RU2 or RU5. So maybe there needs to be something in the middle somewhere, but I think the whole emphasis, why, like on this acreage, 14 acres, if you cluster 7 homes in 3 acres and leave the rest open farmland, that meets a lot of needs. It clusters the homes, it makes a nice subdivision, maybe half-acre, 3/4 acre lot, but then it leaves all that farmland, usable farm agricultural space in perpetuity, because once that subdivision is done, that acres that's left as ag, it can't be subdivided again. It's left there. So I would be for this subdivision just because of that case. I think it's important at some point the county needs to focus on, okay, what are we talking about clustering the homes? What's the purpose of that? It's to leave more usable farmland. Where we live on 10 acres, we put our farm in the middle of house in the middle of 4 acres, but there's 2 acres, 3 acres behind us. Who wants to farm 3 acres? Most people want to farm 10 or 20 or 50 acres, but you can't, anyway, just comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can come back up.
Lisa Clark. I own a property that's 3 parcels away from this one. And I respectfully disagree with the previous comment. Once a rezone takes place, typically we'll open up the door for a neighboring property to start thinking maybe we can do that as well. My opinion is for a home in a city, it's different than a home in Cache County, in the county limits. The city hasn't expanded out to that area. This is county area, and it's zoned A10 for a reason, for homes to be able to be built on 10 acres and farm that land. And I just have the opinion that once it happens, for one, additional people will want to do that as well. Maybe that won't be the case. I'm assuming something here. But I believe once one parcel does it, it sort of catches on. And there's a reason that there's county land and there's a reason that there's city lots. And they're 2 different purposes. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I agree that clustering homes is a great idea, but I want to make it clear that I think those clusters should be close to city limits and not out in the county.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments?
I am here representing my family and our family trust.
Could you give your first name one more time?
Zile.
Zile.
Z-I-A-L. There's been a lot of discussion. There's been a lot of discussion here about the rezone. Frankly, a lot of it sounds like I've got my piece, I don't want you to have yours. We would politely and respectfully request that we are considered for the rezone and that the nearby precedents on Rose Hill and the Denali South rezone be taken into consideration.
So the context on that is there is an RE2 zone that's
to the south. Yep.
It's been allowed by the county already. To say.
Could you just speak a little closer? I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah. There are 2 adjacent rezones that have already been allowed by this county. Precedent is kind of set there. Okay. Beyond that, I don't have much to add.
Thank you. Any others? Oh, right.
My name is Lisa Cooper. I am a part of the Marshall Mon Family Trust. My perspective might be colored a little bit because I work for Wellsville City and have done for over 30 years. And we see in our meetings so often the NIMBY attitude. Not in my backyard. But as my brother pointed out, the precedence has been set. We would respectfully request that this be recommended for approval. As far as Mr. Walbridge's comments about the water and the wells, I understand his concern. I do, however, it goes right back to the NIMBY thing. It's okay to drill a well if it's a family member or someone I know and love, but it's harder to look at otherwise. I can also speak as a representative of the dairy farm, almost directly across the street from the property, Cooper Dairy LLC. We are very well aware of how agriculture and residential does and doesn't mix. We are farmers by trade, we're dairy farmers by trade. We get how it works, but I can speak for my husband and I and our family to say that we are in favor of seeing this rezone and do not believe that our dairy will be negatively affected enough to cause it to be denied. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Okay, seeing no one else coming up, I would accept a motion to close the public hearing.
We'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any further questions for Connor from anyone or discussion items? You guys are getting tired.
Has UDOT been involved at all in this parcel? No, okay. And one thing I'd like to bring up is with the commissioners here is, you know, it's A10 and it's, the reason why I feel like it's A10 is because water is a limited resource in our county, and as we know, we're the second dry state in the union, and things are getting pretty tough out there. I'm in the water business, and I know, hearing from a lot of people, wells are going dry, especially out in that area. So that's a big concern, is the utilities there, is the water, you know, actually in that area for that. So that's a big concern, more than any other. I don't know if any studies have been done on that, if there's any wells have been.
We are currently under a 2-year groundwater study to get a better handle on that. But we're just beginning, so we won't have those answers for a couple years. But the west side is the toughest area for water, for sure. Any other?
I would comment again, back of the same nature that, you know, we all would like to take care of family, and with that idea in mind, there's a couple of these presentations have been along that line. If you got a piece of ground, you'd like to hand that on down to family in that respect, but again, I feel like the instruction we've been given by the council is that the RU2 was designated to be something really close, an area that's maybe going to be annexed really soon by a city, and all of the infrastructure that it takes already needs to be in place, and this is pretty good that way. But in my mind, it still is just enough outside the scope of what we've been given by the council. Again, they could approve it. If we denied it here, they could approve it there. But I think it's again, we're getting closer to those cities expanding and going out, getting more ground and building more houses. We're still a growing population, but in my mind, this isn't the time for this particular piece. With the instruction, I feel like we've been given by the council.
Okay. Anybody else?
Connor, could I just ask a clarifying, it was brought up that there is an RU2 in this area.
Yeah. Triangle piece just to the south.
It's this one.
Right there, that triangle. This little triangle.
Is that on 4600 that we were just in the prior deal?
No, it almost touches this piece. You go on that little triangle right there. Those three lots that are on that triangle
West of the
piece.
highway?
See it here on here.
Two there.
So it's covered up a little bit, but here is the lawn piece. Here's that.
So it's kitty corner east of the highway, okay.
I think it's 300 feet south.
Yep.
Then you got this RU5 right here. That's, I don't know, maybe an extra 500 feet. Well,
And the RU2 was a decade or so ago when that was approved, I think. Is that right?
I think it was recent.
Was that one recent? Maybe that, I saw the two dates in there, let's see.
But if I remember correctly on this Marilyn Elison Trust Corner, was there one or two homes already existing, so they were gonna really only get one more, or were they really gonna get two?
This is the Rose Hills one?
The triangle piece.
Yeah. My recollection from reading the reports in the past were, yeah, there were two existing.
So they were gonna get one lot.
Well, I think they have the potential for one additional, but they've never got that fourth lot, but they do have the third one in there.
Let's read this one. So it was 2014. RU2 one.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions or comments, I would entertain a motion from a commissioner.
I guess I'm the negative one here tonight.
I'm just reading it.
But I would make the recommendation to the county council to deny the Marshall P. Mon Family Trust 14-acre rezone. For the ideas and conditions raised by the council, or by the planning and zoning staff.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will move on to item number 7. Another rezone. A lot of them this month. Packing them in there.
okay. Okay. So, this it's this parcel right here. So it's a request to rezone 161.08 acres from FR 40 to A10, so Forest Recreation 40. It's southeast of Paradise. The maximum number of potential lots is 16. We'll get into that a little bit later as to why. The parcel is legal as it's in the same size and configuration as it was on August 8, 2006. The rezone from FR 40 to A10 allows for a single-family dwelling, a foster home, an accessory apartment, a home-based business, residential living facilities, agricultural manufacturing, home-based kennels, cemetery, crematorium, religious meeting house, concentrated animal feed operation, livestock auction facility, farm stand, winery, boarding facility, and topsoil extraction. It's basically surrounded to the northeast, south, and west, or north and east and south, with just recreation, while there's a mix of agricultural and recreation purposes to the west. Essentially, this western parcel right here is A10. The reason for this is because the applicant went through the rezone process and provided proof of agricultural activity, so that's kind of why that rezone went through. The general plan, so it's not in any annexation areas, it's not located in the urban expansion overlay, it's located in the forest, rural, and conservation zone. The purpose is forestry, recreational, multiple resource uses on private lands. Forestry and recreational land uses are expected to continue. Maintaining the environmental quality of steep slopes, canyons, and forests with minimal residential development conserves watershed resources and improves resiliency from wildfire, geological, and flood hazards. Preferred uses: forestry, agriculture, conservation easements, conserve public lands, watershed protection, hazard mitigation, i.e. floodplain management, steep slopes, and high wildfire hazard, outdoor recreation and tourism. Secondary uses include seasonal residential housing at 1 unit per 40 acres, clustered subdivision developments, resorts, recreation, business, and public institutions. Discouraged uses: residential development at a density greater than 1 unit per 40 acres, industrial, commercial office, commercial retail, and heavy industrial. Roads: the parcel currently doesn't have any frontage along a public road. The nearest road is Paradise Drive. A full review couldn't be completed by Public Works as the section of Paradise Drive is gated. Service provisions: the fire district had no comments in regards to this application. The applicant will have to work with waste management for solid waste disposal. Sensitive land: so essentially the parcel is almost entirely covered in steep slopes, which are considered non-developable. However, if it was converted to A10, A10 is exempt from that sensitive lands exemption, or they wouldn't have to do a density calculation. And I can show you that here in a second. Noticing: the online public notice and letters were sent to the property owners within 300 feet on the 19th, and was posted in 3 public locations on the 22nd. At the time of writing the report, no public comments were received, but a public comment has been received since then. It's also in that package. Our recommendation is that staff has recommended this application for denial. The reasons for denial are: the parcel does not have a history of agricultural production or agricultural related use. The subject property currently has no road access. The location of the subject property to be rezoned is not compatible with the purpose of the A10 zone. The subject property would be exempt from sensitive lands concerns, thereby potentially allowing for the creation and development of 16 new lots. And the proposed rezone is not consistent with the Cache County General Plan.
Thanks, Connor. Any questions for Connor before we?
When did we approve that 10 acre? That was been 5, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
What was that again, Lane?
The 10 acre, when we approved that 10 acre.
The
because it had
A10
a lot of
rezone.
I mean, they had a farm and a lot of that. And there was a lot of that steep slope, but we didn't approve that that A10 about 5 years ago or something.
It's 5, yeah.
Then we also had Sardine Canyon come in and want to break that 800.
Yeah.
They were going to start farming them maple trees.
Yeah.
Okay, no other questions for Connor. I would entertain a motion to open another public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do we have anyone here to comment on this one? Come on up. The crowd's getting smaller.
All right, I'll try to make this quick for the people that are item 8. But I'm Charles Wambosi. I'm the owner of the property. Just a couple things. One, this is all new to me. I'm not a property guy. I don't know anything about it. I'm trying to figure this out as I go, so I'm open to the council and whatever y'all feel is best. I have had a survey done on that, the top, I guess, northeast corner of the property. There is about 1.5 acres that is available and appropriate for development. I did have 2 questions because I've gotten 2 different answers from the county. With the FR40 zoning, I had one person tell me that I had to divide it into 40-acre lots to build 4 buildings on it. Can I build more than one building on 160 acres?
That would be.
I'd up here for a second. So in the FR40, your sensitive areas are deducted from the net developable acreage. So you need 40 net developable acres for every 1 lot if you were to subdivide in the FR40, but it would still be only allowed for a seasonal cabin, not a year-round home. But with the number of sensitive areas here, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to divide it further than it is.
Okay, so just 1 building right now. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I submitted a letter with my application. Have you all been able to read that letter? Yeah. Okay. So my 2 biggest questions were, I'm actually pretty shocked that the D's Incorporated land is only a seasonal cabin. I felt that was the primary reason that they were trying to rezone to A10 was to get away from that seasonal restriction. I was hoping to secure something similar, and my hope was to build 1 sort of larger cabin and then 2 smaller cabins for kids, and then yeah, on the property. I have water rights already secured, so hopefully that won't be an issue. But anyway, that was my hope, and yeah, if it would be possible to have year-round access rather than seasonal access, and to get approval for, or whatever zoning would be appropriate for 3 buildings, would be my hope. But yeah, I understand if that's not what should happen. So
This isn't pertinent, but just out of curiosity, how long have you owned that land?
2020.
How long?
Since 2020.
2020.
Yeah. So
Nice piece of ground.
It's pretty. Oh, and I guess the other thing would be kind of with that. I have no interest at all in dividing it up or in messing with the slopes or the mountains or anything like that. I mean, you know, my only concern was year-round access and being able to build, a big cabin and 2 small cabins close to each other to enjoy with my family. And if that's possible to happen, that would be great. The rest of the land, like if you want to like mandate that it go into conservation easement or whatever other stipulations need to get put on that, really wouldn't bother me because that's kind of what I want to. So,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other comments on this one?
Mr. Chairman, I move we close the public hearing.
Would you want to?
He was debating in the back. I could see his face.
Yeah, he was ready to
Jake was
talk.
thinking about it, but yeah.
I'm Jake Peterson with D's Inc. and Porcupine Land and Livestock. So, I do stay in that cabin on the property that you're talking about for a part of the year. So that's kind of where that's coming from. We really didn't know what Dr. Bambosi was wanting to try to do. So our representatives from Salt Lake had sent in I think some concerns.
Yeah.
A letter, but yeah, that's our main concerns is we don't want to see a bunch of development. There's not a lot of developable land.
Pretty steep.
It's
Hardly any development.
yeah. I really don't. Yeah, we'll see how it comes together. I don't wish you any. You know, I want to be a good neighbor, but it seems a little wild to us that cabins would be going up there on the side of the mountain. But so D's Inc. and Porcupine officially would ask that it be denied.
but I'm not even sure that he needs it to do what he's asking to do, so.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Now I'll
Go
take
back to my motion. I move that we close the public hearing.
Yeah, look at how fast they go.
I'll second whatever he said.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, yeah, any further discussion? I think with the,
Can
with
you
the,
zoom out a little bit, please? Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
yep.
Thank you.
How far out do you want?
That's good. I just wanted a better picture of that, the A10 property to the northwest.
I think that one at the time, the majority of it is cultivated ag land. I mean, a lot of it was in CRP before it changed owners however long ago, but now it's all grazing land there. So that one, I think where this one has 0 ag land, it makes it pretty tough to rezone it to A10 where there's no agriculture happening on it.
You know, I looked at this in Google Earth 3D. I don't know, Connor, if you had the ability to do that. That really helped my perception of what this parcel is. So if you look at that in 3D, this is what we're talking about. And so the property boundary's right there at the bottom of the canyon, and
Just the northeast corner.
yeah, it's all the cliffs right along that side, and then up over the top of the ridge. I don't know, can you pan that around?
So can I ask Angie a question? Angie, you were kind of touching on the FR40 zone, you don't get to count the sensitive areas as undevelopable. So even, can they put any building on that property unless, if there's not 40 acres that's developable?
Well, if they found an area that was less than 30%, that could possibly be developable.
So they can have a lot, even though there's not 40 acres.
They
of
could build a
developable.
cabin on this 160.
I just have to build one really big one instead of a big one and 2 small ones.
Right.
But you're not gonna get it insured.
Yeah, and the other
And
thing.
the year-round one is the issue too, I think they were
Well, you
looking
can
Yeah.
for.
access it year-round, you just can't.
You can't
hold
stay
on
there
to
more
it
than 6 months.
Yeah.
And I would say that the A10 rezone that happened in 2020, they were supposed to come in and do a zoning clearance to convert that from a seasonal cabin, which is currently permitted as, to a single-family home. That has not happened, but that would require extensive road improvements down to where the road is acceptable. So this would also require those road improvements to be done. so-
Significant road improvements,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Quite a bit.
Well, just a quick question. It's already been mentioned with the locks, and maybe the county's aware of this. So, like, the applicant, does he have access to those gates to get to his property, or is?
Well, I think that's still a question that's not quite answered. Matt may be able to speak more to it, but I think there's at least 2 gates going up to there. And I'm not sure where the official county road ends, and if it does go further past this property. I'll let Matt answer.
Matt, we need to get you a closer chair. We use you a lot.
He likes that back corner for some reason.
It's good exercise, and I may default to Andrew on this one, but those roads are just not adjudicated at this point, so.
They're not what?
Adjudicated, that means there hasn't been a decision, so prescriptive versus recorded versus those types of things, so.
In process.
In process.
So in,
You want to expand on that?
Yeah, so I mean, if the county could show that the public has been using this road for a period of 10 years, then we can claim it's essentially a prescriptive use road, right? But what Matt's saying is this hasn't been through that process, so if we wanted to go assert that claim, we could bring that claim and do that. People may contest that, may not contest it, it just depends on how the facts lay out, on how much the public has actually been using this road.
so how does he even access his property? Permission?
I assume
He may have a
Jake gives him
private-
the code.
I give him.
Yeah,
I didn't know what it was.
yeah.
He may have his own personal access to that, but that doesn't mean it's a road that could be developed or that would count as road frontage and those types of things. If he has his own prescriptive use, it may be for, some distance that his prescriptive use is. So if he was wanted some kind of seasonal or year-round access, he may or may not have the rights to expand that to meet current code. and the county may or may not as well, because we haven't had that adjudicated to see if we have, we just have a prescriptive right, and our prescriptive right could be 10 feet, 20 feet. So, these are one of these roads on the outskirts, it's in the FR 40 that we just haven't gone through the process. So some lower is definitely, a lot easier, but as you get up into this area, it gets a little harder, so.
Okay, thank you, Matt.
That's why we just say he doesn't have public use, because we don't know.
Yeah.
He may or may not.
It could be a private road.
Correct.
Put up a really nice year.
If I could just to add something.
You come up here just so it's on the recording.
Sorry, I was looking into all this before I purchased the property. I think it's 2004. There was an article and some county records about some sort of a settlement with Dees Incorporated and the other ranches up there. And Paradise Dry Canyon Road was included as a road that was intended to become a county road. It was that road and then one of the other roads that kind of went over to Ant Flat and kind of back that direction. There were 2 roads specifically mentioned that were intended to become county roads at some point in the future. But that was something that I looked into before I purchased the property, so.
Okay, commissioners, any other questions? What would you like to do on this rezone request?
No choice.
I think there's no ag on it, it's pretty tough.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we recommend denial of the Paradise Cliffs rezone based on the facts presented, and I guess we don't have, yeah, we do.
No, he didn't.
No, we don't.
Yeah, there's a conclusion there.
Anyhow, just based upon the basic facts presented here tonight, primarily the FR 40 access concern, and biggest thing is the lay of the land.
There's 5.
There's 5 conclusions there you can include.
Okay.
I think they'll summarize all that.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're getting close to the end now. Okay, and on this one, I will let you know that I am a shareholder in this canal. And as the manager of Cache Water District, we also are the sponsor of a contract for this, half of this project. So I am involved with it, but I don't think with the stuff that's there that I'll need to recuse myself.
We better deny it then. Let's just shut her down. Yeah, let's especially shut her down then.
Just so it's on the record that I am involved in this project.
Yes, and I will make sure that we don't have to extend this meeting here, so I will go through this quickly. This is, and I should note on the agenda, we did reference it as a pressurized irrigation pipeline, but it is not a pressurized pipeline, so I just wanted to clarify that. So this project.
Pretty excited about pressurized. Not the rest of you.
Yeah, so sorry about getting your hopes up there. So it's a request by the Logan River and Blacksmith Fork Irrigation Company to pipe the beginning portion of their existing open irrigation canal, as well as replacing the diversion structure at the Logan River. It involves 11 different parcels, 3 of which are located inside Logan city boundaries. It is an agricultural development, and so we did not review the potential restricted status of the parcels. And as mentioned, of those 11 different parcels, 3 are located within Logan City, and they will be responsible for obtaining all necessary permits from Logan. The applicant provided a letter of intent and plans that are attached to the staff report. It'll be approximately 1.1 miles of canal piped with corrugated high-density polyethylene pipe. I did it. Okay. Wasn't sure about that polyethylene word, but the piping alignment will follow the existing alignment of the canal. The size and length of the pipe will be about 1,200 feet of 40-inch diameter pipe, 2,900 feet of 42-inch pipe, and 1,600 feet of 30-inch pipe. So our code requires anything over 18 inches get a CUP. So that is why we're here. Again, they're replacing the diversion structure, but that seems to be within Logan city limits, so it's not a part of this review. The purpose is to better manage and conserve irrigation water with the system operating similarly to current operations. They do need to still get in place temporary and permanent easements for the pipeline construction, operation, and necessary road access all need to be secured still, so that is a requirement prior to recording the permit that all of those easements are recorded and that documentation provided to us. Construction is expected to begin at the end of the irrigation, which is October, and would be completed by the beginning of the following irrigation season. Some of the construction area access is off of 1600 West, a county road. The road is currently substandard, so the applicant must mitigate impacts and repair any damage caused to the road by the construction. So they'll be working with Public Works Department on that. And then beyond Logan City, they're also responsible for obtaining any other clearances, authorizations, or permits from any other stakeholders or jurisdictions. This is a allowed use in the A10 zone, which all of these are, except the Logan City ones, with a Provo conditional use permit. It does meet all of the requirements for a conditional use permit, including health, safety, and welfare, adequate service provision, and compliance with the law. Again, most of the access will probably be through existing farm access points, and they'll have to get those easements recorded. Sorry, Elson, got a dry throat. Portion of the project will cross other county roads besides just being an access point. So no above ground components for the system can be placed within county right-of-ways, and an encroachment permit is required to any work within county right-of-ways. That pretty much sums it up. There are known or reasonably anticipated detrimental effects of the use. Stormwater, replacing the open canals with underground pipeline can have known or reasonably anticipated detrimental effects of removing a conduit for stormwater. So they will need to complete detailed construction plans and drawings to Public Works Department for review and approval prior to recording or issuance of permits. And those plans need to note all existing irrigation ditches and structures that will be abandoned as part of the project. As with last month's piping project, noxious weeds are a concern, and also bringing infill that could have weeds in it to introduce to the construction site, so they'll need to work with the vegetation department on that. Air quality could cause detrimental effects, including dust, so best practices must be followed. There are some sensitive areas the project may go through, specifically flood, the FEMA flooding plain. So they will have to obtain a flood development permit prior to any work conducted in those areas. And then prior to the final acceptance of the improvements, they'll need to provide as-built to the County Public Works Department for review, and just to confirm it was built to the required and approved plans. Public notice was issued. Since there's quite a few parcels involved, it was a large area, but we did not receive any comments. And with that, staff is recommending approval based on the conditions. And that concludes my report.
Thanks, Angie. Any questions for Angie? Is there anyone from the audience that would like to speak to this project?
I'm the one that's got the headache. It's all my property, except Logan City and 7 acres. So.
You gotta come up here if you wanna talk though, Jess.
You're the big man.
You gotta come up and state your name or we can't, doesn't even count.
I guess it's better if you have.
Same with you.
If you have questions for us, because we're just here to answer questions. It's pretty self-explanatory, and it is definitely a benefit for everybody by doing this project. And if you're familiar with Willow Lakes subdivision, their partners with us, the mitigations and all the things that she's talking about have already been taken care of. All those studies, environmental studies, and those are all completed. So we're just ready to go. In fact, we're wondering why we're here to ask permission, to be honest with you. We should have started this,
Cause you got water in the canal.
I would ask a question. How much how much will this project impact infiltration of water into our aquifers?
I can answer that for you. Almost zero. So we did a seepage loss study on this section of the canal probably 3 years ago. And in this section, it loses about 12 to 15%, but it is running right adjacent, elevated next to the Logan River, and it all just goes right back to the river. So out in this area of the valley, we get very little recharge to our actual groundwater aquifer. You know, up on the benches, it's huge. Out here in the valley in the clay soils, it's almost zero. It's just the shallow groundwater that it would go to. But this one's all just going to the river, so this will keep it out of the river and in the canal system.
Yeah. As we piped all these canals, I just wonder what we do, and for sure what you say along on the benches there where we're on the gravel and where it goes.
And it's going to be interesting. So we did the last groundwater study in '94, and it showed that a significant portion comes from those canals, and now we've piped a lot. So this new one we do, it'll be interesting to see how that has changed in 30 years on that.
Sure.
We had a comment over here.
So, sorry, Cameron Swan. I was here actually for number 2 for the subdivision.
You just stuck around to the end?
Yeah.
Trooper.
So,
acres that this involves besides his.
yeah. So I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't know this was, so my only other concern, you know, I was concerned about the seepage and the, if it's gonna affect my well, so that's been answered. The other question was also flooding mitigation, because that's actually kind of nice when the river rises, knowing that, all right, at least we have a secondary canal in between my house and the river, that it can be diverted through the canal. So I don't know, was this going to be elevated or was this going to be buried?
There'll still be a berm where the canal is now. The pipe will go in and it'll be bermed, so we've got to have so many feet of cover over that pipe. And so the berm, where the canal is, there'll still be a berm there to hold the river back.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
Mr. Bowen, you want to come? You got to come up. We didn't make Ken and Jess, but we're going to strike them on the record.
I don't have a comment necessarily. I have a question. Reed Bullen, can you farm over the buried ground, buried pipe?
I think you can. And I'm thinking on your pieces, and we got the engineer here to say how deep it will be, but in most cases, when we've done these projects around the county, you are able to farm across that.
They're gonna pipe by mine, and they say they're burying it 3.5 feet, and they're encouraging farming over it, so.
Yeah, the farming over it helps with weeds. That really helps the weed mitigation plan. Okay. Oh, you got a comment?
Okay, so I'm Marty Lynn Nielsen. I'm helping on this project. The pipe's going to be 30 inches deep. That's an NRCS standard, so that farmers can farm over their over pipelines. And then what was the first comment? I'm sorry.
The seepage.
So there are a couple of spots where we feel the canal does take some stormwater, and so we have some intake structures in those spots so that the pipeline will actually continue carrying that water. So that's it.
Thanks.
I would like to say something on the record now that I think about it. There's comments.
What's your name? What's your name?
I'm the president of the irrigation company, the Logan River up Blacksmith Fork Irrigation Company. There was comments made about the existing road coming off of 1800 to Trapper Trails Park. I want to go on record to say that that road, if you go out there right now, and I encourage any of you to drive down there right now as you go home, about the condition of the road. The condition of the road is terrible, and it gets worse through the year. The county needs to step up and pave that road anyway, okay? All right, just wait.
Denial.
And I know that Logan City owns the park, and so that's a little bit of a problem between the county and the city. But for the benefit of our community, that road needs to be paved. For us going in and out of there with some heavy equipment, we're not going to do any more doing that project on there than what Logan City's been doing going out of there, doing that park for years. So I would like to just say that. Okay.
How much width is available there? I mean, I know what the road is now.
It's not very. I don't know what to tell you, but you can't get two parks. You can't get two cars going like this. I don't believe. So.
Can I ask you a question while you're up there?
Yeah.
And I don't know what the roads is, Jess, there by your place. There's that corner where it crosses. Does that will this realign that canal where it crosses under the road? In between your mom's place and
we're not.
Yours, right?
You could pull that
No.
out here.
That's
That's just a really
You mean
bad
as far
corner there.
as the road, no, it won't affect the road at all.
Bury the canal there.
We're not going that far north.
Canal will be just
Doesn't
south
go
of
that
there.
far.
It doesn't go that far
It doesn't go
north.
that
We're
far.
just barely going under that road there on 2000 West.
It's south of that turn.
So that's Jess's lateral that goes up there that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So this is just.
Okay.
Thanks, Kent. Now you got Jess worked up.
We want to talk about Trapper Park, Jess Anderson. But I can show up at the barn every morning at 3 o'clock. You got cars coming in and out of that Trapper Park. You tell me that ain't good? What's going on at 3 o'clock in the morning? I call it trouble, unless you know how to work. I mean, I go up to the main head gate, 3:30, 4 o'clock, just water up, just water down, whatever. You see these people in and out, and they fly when they see lights coming along the canal on the side by side. That road is 18, it might be 20 feet wide in places.
Yeah.
But the county owns all the way to Trapper Park. Ilza Reltsons, they irrigate there on the corner, their water comes back across the road, makes washboards. Whatever. We can't help the water coming back to the east in a low spot. But that road needs to be oiled. I don't like this because it's all the property I own or I lease. But I want to be a learning experience to make things better for the future. And this is a start.
Where is that Trapper Park? It's at the end of this dirt road, so right where our head gate is.
Right there.
I don't want to miss out on the party to talk about Trapper Park.
Park is low.
But I do want to put in some comments from the county is that this land is owned by Logan City. So as Logan City develops that, they are not required to come to the county and just continue to build. So why I don't want to disagree that this needs to be paved, I think that the source that's driving all this traffic is not county. And so we need to find a way from the planning commission, council, and those things to try to hold Logan City somewhat accountable for developing a park that's using the county road and accessing it and never coming to this board for permission for those types of improvements. So I think the road needs improvements, but I don't know if it's the county needs to chase development. So I think somehow, when these communities are doing developments and increasing traffic and trying to take park and people into areas that are not safe, and they're using these two little dirt track county roads to get there and driving people to the park, then there needs to be some kind of a way the planning commission and the council can go back to those communities and hold them accountable for that. So
You earned a Pepsi for tonight.
Agreed, because before that, when that was a private park, you would see one car down there maybe a week when they'd have their family get together. And then Logan City bought it, and now, like Jess said, it's every night. They don't go down there in the daytime as much, but after dark, it's a busy park.
Just girls or somebody jogging a dog.
Yep. Okay, what do we want to do on this CUP, commissioners? Let's wrap this up. We've got 7 minutes left.
Well, if it was anywhere else, we'd approve it.
I would just point out that we've been 100% negative already, all night long, so.
Let's keep it rolling.
I don't think we've ever denied every application in a meeting, so here's our opportunity.
We can set a record.
The only suggestion we have is put in a bigger pipe than they tell you. Then you won't be regretting it after.
We're short on the pipe.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the LRBFIC Trapper Park Canal Piping Project, CUP, and this is approval, this is us, CUP, with the 3 conclusions and 18 conditions.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. How's next month looking? Is it gonna be as exciting as this?
Unfortunately, no.
One rezone,
Connor,
one CUP.
Connor will not allow it. But I just also want to comment that today we did get our moderate income housing report submitted to the state a good 12 hours before the midnight deadline. So just wanted to let you know that, so that might be out there. But otherwise, no other business to discuss at this time, so.
It's too bad that we don't have a way of people getting the information, like these people that
Yeah.
wanted to develop ahead of time. The fact that the county spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on Envision Cache Valley and what have you. And then the other fact that, I don't know.
And I think they do. When they come in the office, they tell them.
Yeah,
They still have the right.
we highly recommend they come in and do a pre-application meeting to understand what we look at for the rezone, and if that rezone were approved, what kind of improvements they would have to do. I think a couple of these folks did not come in for those, so.
Throw out there, we had a lot of people here tonight that were kind of confused about the process.
They were, yeah, a lot of them. in
And
that
I
first one.
wonder if we could maybe educate prior to opening a public hearing, so.
That's a dang good idea.
So they know the process. This is a rezone.
They even called us the council.
Yeah.
And they thought we were approving it, and we wanted them to come, and,
The process of.
yeah, that's why I tried to explain it a little after that. Okay, well, with no further,
Might be.
yeah, I agree. Objections will adjourn.
Thank you, yep.
But I think